Hey sports card fans, it's John, Wade Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. Today I'll be taking a look at the top 10 PSA vintage baseball card sales on eBay for cards from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s for the month of October 2023. As always, these top 10 lists have some interesting cards that show up in the top 10. So let's go check them out. Let's start off with the top 10 from the 1950s. Coming in at number 10, we have the 1955 Topps Sandy Koufax rookie card in a PSA 7. This card was sold on eBay on October 26th, and it sold for $7,999.99. It was a buy it now. The current VCP average price is $5,773, but the VCP database does not have this particular sale recorded, so it is not factored into the current average price. The record high sale for a PSA 7 was $12,900 back in March of 2021 through an eBay auction. At number 9, we have the 1952 Topps Jackie Robinson in a PSA 3. Nice looking copy for a low grade of the 52 Jackie Robinson. A nice bright red background. Looks to be some surface issues and some centering issues, but overall a nice clean copy. This one sold on October 28th for $8,400. It was a best offer. This sale as well is not included in VCP's database. They are showing a current VCP average price of $7,367. The record high for a PSA 3 was $22,140 back in June of 2021 through a golden auction. At number 8, we have the 1952 Topps Willie Mays in a PSA 4. This one sold on October 28th for $9,250. It was a best offer. Again, this copy was not in VCP's database. They show a current average price of $8,656. The record high for a PSA 4 was $20,400 twice. Once on August of 2021 through an REA auction, and then again in July of 2022 through a PWCC Premier auction. At number 7, we have another 52 Topps Willie Mays, also in a PSA 4. Now this one was captured in VCP's database. This one sold on October 26th for $9,281.32. It was an auction. There were 26 bids. And of course, we have those two record high sales back in 2021 and 2022. On to number 6. We have the 1954 Topps Hank Aaron rookie card in a really nice looking PSA 6. This one sold on October 18th for $10,000. It was an auction. There were 47 bids, sold quite above the current VCP average price of $8,749. The record high sale for a PSA 6 was $18,142.50 back in March of 2021 through a PWCC auction. On to number 5. We have a 1951 Bowman Willie Mays rookie card in a PSA 4. You can see it's slightly off-centered, and there is that print mark around actually there's two print marks right down the middle of the card. But this one sold on October 16th for $12,000, above the current VCP average price of $11,091. It was a buy it now listing. The record high sale for a PSA 4 was $20,000 back in February of 2022 through a PWCC auction. On to number 4. We have another 51 Bowman Willie Mays rookie card, this time in a PSA 5. A little bit better centered. Does seem to be maybe some print or surface area issues on the front of the card. There's some wax stains on the back, but still got a PSA 5 grade. It is an older label. This one sold on October 26th for $14,600. It was an auction. There were 53 bids. The current VCP average price is $15,779. So this one sold a little bit less, about $1,000 less than the current VCP average price. The record high sale for a PSA 5 was $32,100 back in March of 2021 through an eBay auction. On to number 3. We have yet another 52 tops Willie Mays, this time in a PSA 6. Now, for PSA 6, this one is a little off-center. Personally, I probably prefer to go with one of those PSA 4 copies because they were a little bit better centered. But in any rate, this one sold on October 26th for $15,000. It was an auction. There were only 2 bids and sold for quite a bit less than the current VCP average price of $18,012, and it could be due to the overall eye appeal because of the off-centering of the card. The record high sale for a PSA 6 was $42,552 back in July of 2022 through an eBay auction. On to number 2. We have the 1951 Bowman Mickey Mantle rookie card, this one in a PSA 5. A little off-centering, but otherwise looks like a very clean copy, as well as the back, no wax stains. This one sold on October 24th for $27,995. It was a buy it now and sold for quite a premium over the current VCP average price of $23,801. The record high sale for PSA 5 was $55,100 back in March of 2022 through an eBay auction. All right, the number 1 card from the 1950s was this 1953 Topps Mickey Mantle in a PSA 7. This one sold on eBay on October 26th. It was a best offer for $29,500. Now, this sale was not recorded in VCP's database. They show a current average price of $29,236. So this best offer is right in line with current VCP average price. The record high sale for a PSA 7 was $51,600 back in March of 2022 through a PWCC Premier auction. On to the cards from the 1960s. Coming in at number 10, we have this great looking example of the 1961 Topps Mickey Mantle in a PSA 8. Just a great looking card. Obviously, maybe some slight corner wear, maybe slightly off center just a little bit, but wow, what a great copy there. This one sold on eBay on October 22nd for $5,359. It was an auction. There were 58 bids and sold for just a slight premium above the current VCP average price of $5,231. The record high sale for a PSA 8 was $10,024.80 back in December of 2022 through SCP auctions. On to number 9. We have this 1962 Topps Lou Klimchok in a PSA 10. This one sold on October 8th for $6,211. It was an auction. There were 16 bids, and that is the current VCP average price because this is the only recorded sale of a PSA 10. And if you notice, this is a newer slab. So this was the very first copy graded a PSA 10. On to number 8. We have this 1966 Topps Merit Renew. Now, this is the no sold statement variation. On the back of the card, there was printed that he was sold to a different club. This is the rarer version. This one is also in a PSA 9. This one sold on October 8th for $6,766. There was an auction. There were 16 bids, and this is a new record high sale. The previous high was only $404.01 back in September of 2010 on eBay. There are no PSA 10s, and this is one of only 6 PSA 9s. And again, this is a newer label. So this one just hit the population count and probably resulted in that new record high sale. At number 7, we have this 1963 Topps Bomber's Best featuring Tom, Trish, Mickey Mantle, and Bobby Richardson in a PSA 9. This one sold on October 5th for $7,000. It was a best offer. This one is not recorded in VCP's database. They show a current average price of $5,760. The record high sale was $8,375 back in April of 2021 through a PWCC listing on eBay. There are no PSA 10s, and this is only one of 17 copies in a PSA 9. On to number 6. We have this 1968 Topps Nolan Ryan rookie card in a PSA 8. This one sold on October 26th for $7,500. It was a buy it now and right on the current VCP average price of $7,509. The record high sale for a PSA 8 was $11,400 back in December of 2021 through REA auctions. At number 5, we have this 1962 Topps Willie Mays All-Star card in a PSA 9. Really hard with these 62 Topps and the wood grain border to get really high grade copies. This one sold on October 12th for $8,000. It was a best offer. Now, this sale is not in VCP's database. They are showing a current average price of $3,840. This would be a new record high sale if it would have been in VCP's database. The previous high was $3,840 back in August of 2022 through eBay. At number 4, we have this 1968 Topps Mickey Mantle in a PSA 9. This one sold on October 21st for $8,925, a little over $1,000 less than the current VCP average price of $10,102. It was an auction. There were 51 bids. The record high sale for a PSA 9, $18,830.40 through a memory lane auction back in December of 2021. There are 11 PSA 10s. This one here in a PSA 9 is one of 183 graded copies. At number 3, we have another 68 Topps Nolan Ryan card, rookie card in a PSA 8. This one sold on October 26th for $9,249. Now, this PSA 8 was not in VCP's database. Still shows an average price there of $7,509. It was a buy it now. And of course, we have that record sale of $11,400 back in 2021. At number 2, we have the 1963 Topps Pete Rose rookie card in a PSA 8. I had to chuckle as I was looking this information up because the seller in its description said something about excellent centering or very well centered or something like that. Obviously, to me, that's not perfect centering. So the description was a little misleading, but at any rate, it's sold on October 12th for $11,500. It was a best offer. Now, this card as well was not in VCP's database. They have the current average price at $13,856. So again, according to eBay, this sold and the buyer seemed to get a pretty good deal, maybe because of that well-centered copy. A record high sale for a PSA 8 was $27,500 back in March of 2021 through a PWCC auction. All right, on to the number 1 card from the 1960s. It's the 1967 Topps Tom Seaver rookie card in a PSA 9. This one sold on October 6th for $15,052.01. Interesting price there because it was a buy it now. Usually you don't see that type of price for a buy it now, normally for an auction. The current VCP average price is $15,899. So this seller or this buyer got about a $900 discount over the current VCP average price. The record high sale for PSA 9 was $26,316 back in December of 2021 for a memory lane auction. There are 3 PSA 10s. This one here in a PSA 9 is one of 95 copies. All right, on to the cards from the 1970s. Coming in at number 10, we have this 1974 Topps Hank Aaron All-Time Home Run King, card number 1 in the set in a PSA 9. This one sold on October 17th for $4,139. It was an auction. There were 34 bids. The current VCP average price, $3,340. So about $800 over the current VCP average price. The record high sale for a PSA 9 was $4,827 back in August of this year on eBay. There's only one PSA 10. This PSA 9 is one of 116 copies. On to number 9. We have this great looking 1970 Topps Reggie Jackson in a PSA 9. This one sold on October 11th for $5,855. It was an auction. There were 41 bids. The current VCP price, $4,152. So a big premium over the current VCP average price. There aren't too many of these PSA 9s that come up for sale, as there are only 66 graded copies. There's only one PSA 10. The record high was $12,998.40 back in May of 2023 through memory lane. On to number 8. We have this 1970 Topps Steve Carlton in a PSA 10. Now here again is my commentary on some of these PSA 10s. If you notice on the back, to me it's a little too off-center on the back for PSA 10s. I keep going back to, if you're going to have, whether it be PSA, SGC, you name it, if you're going to grade a card at the highest grade possible, to me, the centering and all the features on the front should equal what it is on the back, but for whatever reason, they give some leeway on the back. Just my little commentary. This one sold on October 3rd for $5,985. It was an auction. There were 48 bids. The current VCP average price is that $5,985 because a PSA 10 does not come up very often. There are only 12 graded a PSA 10. There are 121 that are graded a PSA 9. The record high sale was $10,485.60 back in February of 2022 through memory lane. On to number 7. We have this 1976 Topps Dave Cash in a PSA 10. This is the only recorded sale in VCP's database. There are only 2 PSA 10 graded copies, and this one sold on October 29th for $6,322. It was an auction. There were 32 bids. Again, the back, to me, a little bit too off-center for a PSA 10, but nonetheless received that top grade. On to number 6. We have this 1973 Topps Mike Schmidt rookie card in a PSA 9. This one sold on October 5th for $6,650. It was a best offer. The sale was not in VCP's database. They show a current average price of $5,930. So this one sold for about $700 over the current VCP average price. The record high sale was $19,800 back in July of 2021 through a heritage auction. There are 6 PSA 10s, and this PSA 9 is one of 251 graded copies. At number 5, we have this 1975 Topps Carl Yastrzemski in a gorgeous PSA 10. Now this one here, the back, pretty well centered for a PSA 10. So this one gets the thumbs up in my books here. This one sold on October 17th for $8,245. It was a buy it now, just about $500 less than the current VCP average price of $8,703. The record high sale was $9,000 back in October of 2022 through through a golden auction, and this PSA 10 copy is only one of 18 that have been graded at such a level. At number 4, we have this 1975 Topps Nolan Ryan in a PSA 9. Now, this has an interesting listing here. This one is sold on October 12th for $8,750. It was a best offer. This card was not in VCP's database, but I noted this as a new record high sale for October. So a little foreshadowing here. The current VCP average price is $8,850 above this sale price. And that is because in doing my research, there's been a sale in November that may have just matched this one for a new record high, but this is for prices in October of 2023. So as of October, this was a new record high sale. The previous record high was $6,301 back in June of 2021 through eBay. This PSA 9 is one of 76 copies. There are only 3 that have been graded a PSA 10. At number 3, we have this 1977 Topps Pete Rose in a PSA 10. Now, the centering on the back, that's more like it for a PSA 10. This one sold on October 1st for $10,700. It was an auction. There were 35 bids. The current VCP average price, $7,150. This sale here is a new record high for the 77 Topps Pete Rose in a PSA 10. The previous high was $3,654 back in October of 2021 through eBay. While there are 540 graded PSA 9, this PSA 10 in a new label is one of only 40 copies. On to number 2. We have this 1975 Topps Bob Gibson in a PSA 10. Again, a little too off-centered for me on the back for a PSA 10, but nonetheless, this is a newer label, so if PSA is being much harder on grading lately, this one still received a PSA 10. This one sold on October 18th for $19,320. It was an auction. There were 48 bids, and that is the current VCP average price and is a new record high sale. As I mentioned, this is a newer label, and there have been only 2 PSA 10s that have been graded, and this recent one here is just the second copy to receive that PSA 10 grade. There have been 66 PSA 9s. The previous high sale was $2,955.05 all the way back in June of 2015 through an eBay auction. And the number 1 card from the 1970s, this 1975 Topps Rod Carew in a PSA 10, front and back, well centered. This one sold on October 1st for $22,922. It was an auction. There were 32 bids. That is the current VCP average price because of the low population. Another recent graded copy and one of only now 4 that have received the PSA 10. There have been 102 graded to PSA 9. The previous copy in a PSA 10 sold for $5,655, or the previous high, back in February of 2019 through an eBay auction. There you go, the top 10 PSA vintage baseball card sales on eBay for cards from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s for the month of October 2023. As always, would love to know in the comments what you think about the cards that made this month's top 10 lists. And with that, that's all I have for you. So until next time, thanks for watching.